alive. They believe not. The Bible says they didn't believe. The woman says, look, I saw him, he's alive. He said, no, they didn't believe it. Why didn't they believe? She's testifying that, look, I met him, I spoke to him. And they didn't believe. Why would they not believe? Because at the back of their minds, this man Jesus was dead. And she's talking about a live person. If she had said she had seen the ghost of Jesus, the spook of Jesus, the spirit of Jesus, they would have believed. But she's not talking about spook and ghost in Chies. She's talking about the man, he's alive. Because they know, they believed spirits going into pigs. It's in the Bible. The spirits went into pigs and 2,000, I heard of them, they ran down the hill and they all got drowned. Spirits going into pigs, they saw. They saw with their own eyes, spirits going into pigs. They saw a spirit going into trees and tying them up from the very roots. They saw. They believe anything. But to believe that the living Jesus is alive, that they couldn't believe. If she said, I saw his spook, they would have believed. His spook was all right, but not him. No, look, I'm only quoting. She said, he's alive, and they didn't believe. The disciples wouldn't believe. He's going to Emmaus. On the way to Emmaus, he's got two disciples of his walking side by side. And he's preaching to them about what had happened the previous 3 days. 5 miles they walk, and they still can't recognize the man. I ask you why. He's disguised like Paul Mooney in The Good Earth. I don't know whether hey, he looks like a real The King and I. What's that? Jules Brenner. You know, when these guys, when they take those parts, you think the guy is Indonesian or Indo-Chinese, Siamese, the Siamese king. You believe that when you see the guys on the screen, you believe that the guy is a Siamese king when he's a European and a Jew. Jules Brenner. When he acts the part of Pharaoh in the 10 Commandments, you think that he is Pharaoh, he's an Egyptian. No. No, they're so realistic. So Jesus Christ has got such a fantastic disguise. He's talking with his disciples 5 miles and they don't recognize the man. Why? Because he's disguised, not because he's resurrected. He's disguised. So when they reach Emmaus, he makes it that he's going to carry on. So they say, come, it's time to eat. Come and join us. So he's persuaded. When he's persuaded, and it came to pass, Luke tells us, chapter 24, verse 30. And it came to pass, as he sat eating with them, he took bread and blessed it. They said, the manner in which he brake bread, the eyes were opened. It means, what does it mean? The eyes were opened. It means they recognized the man. It didn't mean they were walking 5 miles with eyes closed. Look, this is a figure of speech. It means now they recognize the man. The eyes were open, not that they were walking 5 miles with closed eyes. The eyes were open. They recognized the man. So when they recognized the man, Jesus vanished. What did he do? The Indian rope trick? You know, going up the rope and vanishing? No. He vanished means he went away out of sight. So these disciples, they run to that upper room where they had the Last Supper and they find the others there. There were other 8 there. 8 were there. And they go and tell them, say, you know Jesus, he was with us and he sat down to eat. And you know the way he was breaking bread and the way he was blessing it. Like we say, Bismillah. They say, Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu malach haolam hamotzi lacham min haaretz. This is the Hebrew way of saying Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Get started. So the way he said it, they recognized that this is Jesus. So he vanished. They said, man, these guys now are in danger. They might go and tell everybody and I get into trouble. So they run to that upper room. They're telling them, say, Jesus, he's there. He was with us. And they say, I can't believe. And they said, we can't believe. And in came Jesus. Some said he stood in the midst. Like that vanishing trick, you know, that these guys in Star Trek, you see in your TV sets. You know, the guys, they dematerialize and they materialize somewhere and they dematerialize. You think they did something like that? There's nothing like that. In came Jesus. The doors being shut. That doesn't mean he came in through the keyhole. You know, like this, you see sometime in films, they show you, you know, the smoke coming out and materializing into a genie. No. He didn't say he, through the crevice in the wall, he crept through. Nothing of the kind. The doors were shut. This was a mansion. My humble home in Verulam, we've got 4 entrances. My humble home. This is the mansion, an upper room. Surely there were other rooms, other ways and means of getting into that house. I don't know how these brothers got there. I don't know how they got there. Look at them. Look. How did they get there? I don't know. But there must be a way. They don't materialize and dematerialize from there. There must be a way. I don't know. So in that upper room he goes in, and the doors were shut, and they're terrified. The disciples got terrified. I'm asking, why were they terrified? When you meet your long-lost master, your uncle, your grandfather, we Eastern people, we embrace one another, we kiss one another. Why should the disciples of Jesus be terrified? So Luke tells us that they were affrighted because they thought he was a spirit. Luke chapter 24 verse 37. They thought he was a spirit. I'm asking, did he look like a spirit? They said no. Then I said, why should they think the man is a spirit when he didn't look like one? Puzzled. I said, I'll tell you why. You see, the disciples of Jesus, they had heard from hearsay that the master was hanged on the cross. They had heard from hearsay, suni hui baat, what they had heard, that he was hanged on the cross, that he had given up the ghost, he had died. And now he's dead and buried for 3 days. A man with such a reputation, you expect him to be stinking in his grave. Such a person, when you see, naturally you are terrified. See the reason why they are terrified? Because they were not there. They were not eyewitnesses or your witness to the happenings. Because Mark chapter 14 verse 50, he says, for all his disciples forsook him and fled. Tu had almal hum farlat and khaflah. Almal. I'm asking the Afrikaner, does almal mean almal in your language? Does it mean all? You Englishmen, does all mean all in your language? You Zulu, does bonke mean bonke in your language? He said yes. So they were not there. All the knowledge was from hearsay, what they had heard. So now they are terrified. They think he's a ghost. So Jesus wants to assure them that is not what they're thinking. They're thinking he's a ghost. He's come back from the dead. So he says, cake na me hand and me footer. Cake. Have a look at my hands and my feet. Want that it is itself, that it is I myself. I am the same fellow man. Damn fools, what are you afraid of me for? Fool on me and cake. Handle me and see. Want a geest nie vlees en bene, soos julle sien dat ek het nie. For a spirit has no flesh and bones, as you see me have. So if I got flesh and bones, in that case, I'm not a spirit, I'm not a ghost, I'm not a spook. I said, is that what it means in your language, you Englishman? He said, yes. And you Afrikaner? He said, yes. And you Arab? He said, unzuru ila yadayya wa rijlayya. He says, behold my hands and my feet. Inni ana huwa, that it is I myself. Husuni wanzuru, say, handle me and see. Fa inna ruha laysa lahu lahmun wa izamun. For the spirit has no flesh and bones. In any language, every language, it is so simple and straightforward. But how people can be programmed, brainwashed. People can be brainwashed. We too. We must be on guard. People can be brainwashed. They're reading something and seeing something else. They're not seeing what is there. They're reading something in their own mother tongue, and then somebody is making them to understand just the opposite of what they're reading. Just exact opposite. Not what is written there, but opposite. He said a spirit has no flesh and bones. They say spirit has flesh and bones. Funny. Jesus said a spirit has no flesh and bones. In other words, he is not resurrected. He is telling them that he is not resurrected, because the resurrected bodies get spiritualized. So the clever fellow says, who says so? I said, Jesus. You say, where? I said, Luke chapter 20 verse 36. We were talking about 24:36. Go back 4 chapters, you'll find it there, what Jesus says. So what does he say? I say, you know, the Jews, we're always coming to Jesus with poses and riddles. Want to make a fool of him. Want to make a mockery of him. Now they come to him, they said, Master, in the Hebrew language, Rabbi, like Sheikh, Imam, Master, Rabbi, Maulvi Sahib, Maulana. So there was a woman among us, a Jewess.